Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. There is a website that I've been using over the past couple years that has made my investing life so much easier. It's a website that's super comprehensive and it's allowed me to keep track of my performance, my capital gains, dividend income, taxes, and so much more. So in today's video, I'm going to be going through the website and all its features and giving you a review of it. Now, you won't see me make this kind of video on my channel too often because I'm just not the kind of person who is going to review or promote any kind of random website that I'm not using personally, just to make a little bit more affiliate commission or income for the channel. That's just not the direction I want to take this channel. And the reason why I'm making this review today is because I've personally been using this website for over 2 years now, and it is genuinely the best website that I've found for keeping track of your US and Australian investments. So I actually went ahead and reached out to the ShareSite marketing team, which is the website that I'm going to be talking about today, and they generously offered us a discount for my audience. So if you do want to sign up, if you find this review helpful and you think you're going to get some value out of this website and you do decide to sign up, then you can use the link down in the description below and get a huge discount when you do sign up for a yearly subscription. Sharesight is offering 2 months free when you sign up for an annual subscription, and there are 4 different plans that you can choose from depending on your situation, including a free plan for getting started and trying out some of the features. So as you can see, there's 4 different plans. There's a free one, which is $0 per month. It's free, so you can try it out with up to 10 holdings, up to 10 stock positions. And then you can sign up for $15 per month, $25 per month, or $39 per month, depending on how many holdings you have and whether you want some of the advanced features that we're going to talk about in today's video. Now, I'm personally on the expert plan, which is 39 Australian dollars per month or 390 Australian dollars per year, with those 2 months free if you sign up for a yearly subscription. So some of the features that I'm going to be talking about today will be on those higher plans. So that's just something to be aware of. And of course, just to be completely transparent, if you do decide to sign up to a paid plan using the link in the description below, then I will be receiving a portion of that revenue. So if you watch today's review and you check out the website and you think that it's going to provide you some value, you signing up will be supporting me and all of the free content that I provide for you guys. So with that said, let's jump over to my computer and check out some of the features on Sharesight. All right, so welcome in, and this is sort of the main area that you'll find yourself when you sign up. Of course, I've just made a little bit of a demo account because I didn't want to share my personal account for privacy reasons. So I've just made a little bit of a fake account with about $230,000 in it, and we've got a bunch of stocks in here so that I can show you some of the features. So the first thing here is that up at the top here, actually I'll show you some of the settings. So when you're setting it up, you can set it up with a bunch of different things. You can choose the portfolio name, when the financial year ends, because I know that in the US it ends at December 31st, but in Australia it ends on the 30th of June, so you can change that. And you can change whether the performance of your portfolio in terms of the percentage return is calculated as simple or compounded interest. So you can see how your compounded return is over time compared to your simple return over time. You can change a bunch of tax settings, whether you're getting the 50% discount on capital gains tax, whether you're running a self-managed super fund, or whether you're a company. And most of these tax settings will be more applicable to Australians because this is an Australian company. And you can use this platform if you're in America or any country around the world, but the tax information is going to be more relevant or more accurate for Australians and New Zealand, people from New Zealand. So those two, that's the thing about the tax. But in terms of the portfolio tracking and entering in all of the holdings, you'll see that it's very easy to use and you can use it in pretty much any country you want. You can change your alert settings. I don't really mess with any of that. And you can share your portfolio with other people. But moving on from the settings, the first thing you can see here is that you can add a cash account. So this is one of the cool things. You can add in your cash positions and it'll include that in your returns. So that's kind of cool. And then over here, you can click add new holding, and it's really easy to enter in a new holding. So let's say we're going to add a position of Apple. So we've just bought some Apple stock. Come over here, type in Apple, pick the date that you traded it on. Was it a buy trade or an opening balance? How many did you buy? Let's say we bought 100 and we bought them at $190 per share. What's the exchange rate if you're transferring from Australian to US dollars? How much was the brokerage? And it's going to calculate it for you, and you just click save trade. and it will just add it to your holdings there. You can see it's just added it there. So super easy. And not only that, you can also add them from a broker and from a file. So if you have it on a file or you have it from one of these Australian brokers, then you can just import them from there as well. So that's also very easy to do. Now, in terms of the charting here, you can change the length of time that you want to look at how long you want to track your performance. So you can see if we go from since first purchase. Now, I just added in a bunch of these. I've assumed that we've been investing for about 5 years. You can see that the portfolio has tracked about a 26.44% per annum. That's a compounded return because we've got it set as compounded up here. But if we did want to check just simple, not compounded, then we could change that and we can see that the return is now 34% per year, so not compounded. But you can look at it as a line. You can include closed or not closed positions. So you can only look at open positions that you're currently you currently have shares in, or you can include shares that you've sold. You can look at dollar amounts or percentage amounts, and you can change this to graph growth. This is one of the cool ones actually, because you can check out the difference in how much was capital gains in each year, how much was dividends, and how much was currency, and you can track that over time. And then you can also track against an index, and this is really cool. So I've chucked in how the SP 500 has tracked over time. And this is since first purchase, so since we started this portfolio, which was in 2012, and you can see that they've tracked fairly similarly over that time. And if we change this back to compounded, we can see what the S&P 500 has returned on a compounded basis since 2012, which has been about 20% per year, which is pretty insane. Now, this is including currency gains, remember, because we're assuming that we're from Australia. But if you have this set up from the US, then you, of course, would just have the capital gains and the dividends here. But there's a bunch of different things you can do. You can group them by market, by sector, by industry, by country. The tracking on here is just phenomenal, and it makes your life so much easier for tracking performance over time. Now, in terms of this benchmark that I've got here, you can actually benchmark this against a bunch of preset indices, but you can also benchmark it against anything. So let's say we wanted to benchmark our performance versus just an entire investment in Apple stock, for example, to see how Apple stock is compared to our performance, the performance of our portfolio. So looking at that, you can see that our portfolio of a basket of different stocks has performed pretty similarly to Apple over time, and it's only outperformed Apple just in the past couple of years. And I mentioned it briefly, but you can see that it breaks down your gains in terms of capital gains, dividends, and currency. Now, this is something that has been a lifesaver because I know that in CommSec, my broker, it only shows you the capital gain. It only shows you capital gains, and it doesn't even show you yearly capital gains. It just shows you overall, which is really not that, it doesn't really help. This helps you break it down in terms of capital gains per year compounded, and it shows you your dividends as well, and your currency gains. So it shows you exactly how much you've actually made, and it's a real figure of how much. And not only that, when you enter your holdings here, it also takes into account your brokerage. So these are returns above brokerage. If you make an investment immediately, then you're obviously going to be negative because you've taken that brokerage hit straight away. So it includes that as well, which is fantastic. Now, I showed you before how we could add a position, but selling a position is just as easy. We can go into the individual holding, and you can see the cool thing here is it shows you all of the dividends over time as well, and when they were paid out, which is pretty cool. So you can see we've got all of our trades here. We've got 2 buys here, the one we just did and the one that I added in a while ago. We've got all of the income. These are all of the dividends that have been received. And then if we wanted to enter a new trade, if we wanted to sell those 200 shares, so let's say we wanted to sell them at the current price, and let's assume these are all right, but you can enter these in manually. You can even upload a file if you wanted to add in the official brokerage statement with it so that you had all of your files in one place. That's another thing that you can do. Oops, you can't trade on a future date. There you go. So then it would have been sold, and that was a buy. My mistake. Let's make that a sell. There we go. So that now that position has been sold out of. And now another cool thing is that the dividends are automatically calculated for you. So I haven't entered in any of these. It's just automatically grabbed all of that data from the official company websites. So you don't have to do any of that. And you might notice over here, we've got a 10 and we've got a 20, sort of a little bit of a marker here. And it says here you have 10 unconfirmed transactions for this holdings. So what will happen is as you get dividends that come in, as a company pays dividends, it will ask you to confirm whether or not the dividend is accurate. So it will assume, it'll grab all the data, and 99% of the time it's correct, but you can check the data with how much was actually paid into your account, and then you can confirm them, and you can confirm all of them at once, or you can edit them one by one. And you can see here, I can choose the pay date, the ex-dividend date, the date received, the foreign tax, if this is an international transaction, the exchange rate, whether the dividend was reinvested or not. I'll show you that in a second. That's really cool. But essentially, you can go through and save and confirm them, and it's super easy. You just do that, hit confirm, and it'll confirm them all for you. So entering in dividends and tracking dividends over time is so easy with this. And you'll notice that I've got VAS here, which is the Vanguard Australian Shares Index, and this is one that I actually have on a DRIP plan. I have it on a dividend reinvestment plan. What I need to do is I need to be not receiving these dividends. I need the dividends to be reinvested. So what you can do is you can come down here and you can come down to holding settings, and you can see here, auto dividend reinvestment turned off. So turn it on. So let's turn that on. And now, instead of receiving income, we're going to be receiving shares. So you can see these are all dividend reinvestment, and these are shares that are added, because that's what's actually happened in real life. Is instead of receiving the cash, we've received new shares, and it's going to calculate that for you. So this has saved me a huge headache in terms of calculating, in terms of tracking my performance over time. You could think of trying to track your performance with, manually doing this in a spreadsheet with reinvested dividends. It would just be a nightmare, and there's no way I could possibly do it. So it's been a lifesaver using this app, using this website, and being able to track dividends and reinvest them automatically. And for each of these, they give you a little bit of data about the particular stock. The holding information tells you what the current value is, how many shares you hold, what your cost basis is, and what your dollar cost base is per share and total. Again, you can attach files if you have files about dividend reinvestments or tax files that you want to keep in there. You can put them in there. You can add comments if there's something in particular you need to note about this when it comes to tax time. You can add that in there. You can label them, and you can change the dividend reinvestment and whether it's what kind of dividend settings there is, because they can be round down, round up, round to the nearest, down, and track balance. This is the most common. Where if you receive a dividend that's you receive more of a dividend than the exact price of the stock, it kind of just adds a balance, and then it rolls over to the next time that you receive new dividends. It tracks all of that, so that's fantastic as well. And the last part of the website that's awesome is their reports, and this has saved me, I'm not even exaggerating, this has just saved me so many hours, and I don't know what I would do if I didn't have this. And I don't know what most people do if they're not tracking using a website like this, but essentially this will produce a taxable income report for you that you just print off and you just give to your accountant, and they can do it all for you. And even if you're doing your tax on your own, this makes it so much easier. So if we change this to last financial year, for example, we can see that we received dividends from Telstra Corporation. It tells us the total income, the net amount, the franked amount, the franking credits, and the gross amount. If you've ever entered in, if you've ever tried to do your income in Australia and you've seen all of the different boxes you have to fill out, franking credits, gross amount, franked amount, it can be so confusing and so difficult to do, especially if you have to grab the data from all of the different websites. But it's all there for you, and you just enter in the numbers as you see them. We have non-trust income, trust income, and then all of the foreign income, because we're Australian, obviously, in this account, and all of these are US companies. That is all calculated for you. And as I said, if you're not doing your tax by yourself, you can just get this in a PDF, and you can just hand this off to your accountant, and it makes their life so much easier. It'll probably save you a ton of money because they don't have to sort through all of your reports. They can just grab it all from here. So that's taxable income. So that's income. But then you also have capital gains, which you have to pay tax on. And capital gains does the exact same thing. If I grab the... Okay, so we didn't sell any shares. Maybe I can... When did we sell those Apple shares? So here's the Apple shares. So this is in this financial year. Again, just gives you a summary. There was $12,900 worth of capital gains, but because we held them for more than a year, we get that 50% discount. It chucks the 50% discount in there. We also had some short-term gains because some of the Apple shares were not held for 12 months. Again, this would be a pain in the neck to work out exactly if you had to, and even with an accountant, it would take them quite a long time to do this for you, which is going to cost you money, and that calculates the capital gains for you. And again, you can print off that report for your accountant and it'll just do it for you. Just a reminder, this tax stuff, it works perfectly for Australians and people from New Zealand, but if you're overseas, you need to make sure, you need to just check with your tax laws and check with your accountant to see if this is accurately doing your taxes, because I was speaking with someone from Sharesight and they said that they've nailed down the Australian and New Zealand tax reports, but in terms of international tax reports, because there's so many different laws in so many different countries, so for some countries it won't work. So just make sure you're checking with your accountant or your financial advisor to make sure that this works with you if you're international. But if you're in Australia or New Zealand, you're good to go. This stuff works perfectly. And there is a ton of other reports that are really useful. You have a performance report. This one just tells you about the performance of your portfolio over a particular period of time. Let's say over the past year, for example, we can see what the return was, what the value of the portfolio is, capital gains, dividends, currency, and the total return. So that's a performance one. We then have... let's say, for example, unrealized gains. So we can just look at unrealized gains for stocks that are still outstanding. We can see what the returns are on those. What's the capital gains tax on those going to be? So you haven't sold them yet, but what kind of bill are you looking at if you were to sell those? There's a ton of them. There's diversity report, for example. I won't go through all of them because there's so many here in the interest of time, but diversity to show you how diversified your portfolio is. It's not very diversified at the moment, 50% in restaurants, but we've got a few other areas there, and you can see how that's split up. And there's a bunch of different settings you can change in here for all of these. You can do custom group settings. There's so many different things you can do in here. I wouldn't have time to go through all of them. Sold securities report to see what returns you've gotten on securities that you've sold. We made 23% on Apple. Woohoo, that's pretty good. And all trades report, historical cost, and all of these reports. Not all of these reports are available on the lower plans. Some of these are just for the higher plans. So just make sure you check the pricing and what you get with each of the plans before you sign up, so that you know which ones you get. But in terms of the taxable income and capital gains, they're available on all of the plans. So for doing your taxes, you can sign up for the cheapest plan and you can use those reports. And yeah, as I said, it's been a lifesaver for me, and I wouldn't be sharing this with you if I wasn't personally benefiting from this. And it's just been so good for me that I couldn't resist reaching out to them and asking if we could get a deal for my audience. But I think that's just about it. There's always a bunch of little features that I've probably missed, but that's the crux of it. For the most part, I use it to track my performance over time and over shorter periods of time. How have I done in the past year compared to over the long term? How's my currency gains looking? Am I holding enough US dollars compared to Australian dollars? How are my dividends looking? If you're a dividend investor, this is going to be really helpful. If you're using dividend reinvestment plans, this is super helpful. And then, of course, the tax time reports is a huge one for me. Being able to just print off a report and give it to my accountant rather than having to fight through looking through my brokerage for all of the statements and that sort of thing. And just a reminder, guys, of course, if you do want to sign up to this platform, you can via the link in the description below, and you will get 2 free months of a yearly subscription. And remember, you can sign up for a free subscription just to get started and check it out and that sort of thing. And if you do sign up for a free subscription, please still use the link in the description below. And that way, if you decide to convert from a free subscription to a paid one at some time in the future, your contribution will be supporting the channel and all of the free content. But I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and if you did, make sure you let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below. And if you didn't like it, then that's fine, let me know as well. I enjoy all of your guys' feedback, and if you have any video ideas for me up in the future, then of course leave them down there as well. But I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.